So I believe we are live, guys. Thank you so much for joining today, and thank you for the attendees for joining. We'll do a bit of a round robin and introduce each other. If it's okay, Mark, you're first on my tile. Please introduce yourself. Let us know what you're up to.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Marc McGinley. I'm the game director for Dustland Runner, and basically I've been a game designer for about 12, 13 years. Most of my time has been in indie. I've also spent a few years in AAA. So I was at Ubisoft working on Far Cry 6, Rainbow Six Extraction, and then more recently at Quantic Dream working on Star Wars Eclipse. So yeah, I'm now at Animoca, so we're working closely with the OliveX team on building Dustline Runner and working on lots of cool Web3 things. Very exciting.
Very exciting, and some amazing experience there. Thank you, Mark. George, over to you.
Hi guys, I'm George Bileca. It's my second time being here. Gonna do a quick introduction of myself. I'm currently leading VoxelArchitects, one among the first virtual architecture studio dedicated only to building and designing in the metaverse. We've been doing this for about 2.5 years now, going into the third year. And during our time being, we have worked with major brands and companies in the space like Sotheby's, like Consensus, MetaMask, Real Vision, among others, which we have also here OliveX. So yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And over to you, Daniel.
Hello, everyone. And so I'm Daniel. I'm one of the 4 of us in a small but growing team at Trax. We started Trax during the pandemic as a music company, and I'm excited to tell you about what we have been working on and what we are working on, not least to say the Fitness Metaverse. But my personal background, I have always worked in the media space, whether that's advertising or sports in terms of live production for sports and social media. Studied that as that became a really interesting form of development, and now working in music with my team and our clients.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very exciting. Also, I better introduce myself. I'm Andy. I'm head of commercial here at OliveX. I'm responsible for the fitness partnerships that we're bringing into the company to add value to our NFT projects, our Dose token, and some of our internal games that Mark will talk about very soon. We have some great partners that we brought on recently, the likes of Stages Cycling, Trax Music, Tribe International, a whole host of others. I think we're up to 10 or 11 now, and we have some prospects in the pipeline that will be very exciting to some global brands. So it's an exciting time. We're building our sandbox metaverse with George and the team. Very excited to hopefully launch that in September and give you guys the opportunity to play to earn in our land, learn about our fitness partners, and then hopefully move into the move to earn space through our internal products. And on that note, what I'd like to do is just hand over to Mark, because we have a bit of a milestone today. Over to you, Mark.
Very exciting day today. The community's been asking for this for a long time. So Dustline Runner version 1 has been released on iOS. So this is super cool. So we're released on both iOS and Android now. So if you don't know about Dustline Runner, it's a move to earn game. Basically, we took the Zombies Run formula. Zombies Run, hugely successful fitness app with hundreds of thousands of active users. We've taken that core experience and we've added an engagement loop on top where players will earn tokens, rewards. There'll be a crafting loop and meta game, but the first milestone is releasing that kind of reskin version of Zombies Run. So we have a unique narrative that's kind of Dustland is our own IP. It's a new IP that we've created. So it's a desolate world set in the future where basically climate change has wreaked havoc, and you as a runner, you have to run between townships in this new world, and you're the kind of connecting glue that bridges the gap in the Dustland, and your goal is to save the Dustland. So on your adventure, you'll be listening to audio narrative. Like I said, you'll be earning rewards, you'll be earning resources. In the initial version, you'll earn completion tickets, which you'll be then able to exchange for tokens in the future. But in the future you'll be able to get NFT drops, and yeah, you'll be able to get gear and basically upgrade your character and do this massive crafting loop. So it's super exciting. We're super happy we have parity now between iOS and Android. And now I feel like we're now ready to start the ball rolling on what's next, and really like these new loops and ways to engage in the game that are coming next.
Exactly. There's been a bit of noise in the move to earn space already, I think, over the last month or so. StepN being one of them. Where do you think how do we stand out from the crowd here with what we're doing?
It's a good question. I think the move to earn space is fantastic. I love that StepN has brought a lot of attention to the space. I think there's a few different business models in this space. StepN's model is with an inflationary token. So they're, every time you go for a run, they're minting new tokens. So over time, that's going to affect the economy. We actually have fixed supply of those tokens, and as you know, Andy, those token is central to the Fitness Metaverse. So it's not just our product that the Dose token interacts with. So you play Dustline Runner, you can earn Dose in our game, but then you'll be able to go into our other experiences and spend that Dose. And it's all, in a lot of ways, going to be interoperable. So this is one standout factor. Another is our token is fixed supply. So over time, as more people come into the ecosystem and the demand increases, we have to taper that supply. So supply is going to be very much constrained, and as we consume more tokens in the game, that's going to affect how many tokens are in circulation and stuff like that. So I think we do have a different business model. Our core loop is around crafting. So having a core gear system, if you can imagine a game like Destiny 2 or Death Stranding or any of these games, you're basically building your loadout. It's a loadout management game of some sort. And this is where the meta lives, and this is what we find interesting. So being able to constantly acquire new loot, equip it, and that loot is then giving you the ability to earn more tokens. So it has definitely some similarities, but some standout features as well. We also have the audio experience as well. So anytime you go around, you get the narrative adventure, and OliveX owns 60 Star, who produced on these runs, so we have a lot of experience in producing high quality narrative experiences.
I think that brings a bit more fun to the game, doesn't it? Whereas some of the other models are purely financial motivation, whereas we're trying to bring fun and get a bit more of an intrinsic motivation to come and run. It's not always around that financial reward.
Yeah, I think this is a really deep conversation. It's like there's a lot of conversation at the moment about play to earn versus play to own, right? So I'm very much in the play to own camp, in the sense that what we want players to care about is the things they're investing in the game, and we want it to be a game first. Like fitness has evolved from having no game aspects to really hard work, and then kind of gamified to some extent, and you've got things like Strava and kind of other apps, and like you run and fuel and stuff like that. And then over time, I think we're moving more out of gamification, because gamification is cool to get points and things. But what's more engaging is actually a real game, is real mechanics, real things that players care about. And this is what we're looking to build. Is really this engagement loop where it's fun to play at its core, and not because you're earning tokens or anything like that from the game. This is a side product of what we're building, and it will definitely be possible for players to earn tokens and NFTs in our experience, but the core should be fun on its own, and that's what we're building. And I think that's the value I bring to the team also, as someone who's come from a kind of traditional gaming background.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. But iOS out today, guys, so please download, have a go. And then keeping on the Dose theme, Dose token will also be a reward in our Fitness Land, which George and the team are building in Sandbox. So George, can you tell us a bit more about Sandbox and what the project is with OliveX?
Yeah, so we are basically building a gamified experience in the Sandbox game. We have this concept of, let's say, bridging the virtual and the real world by creating this fitness metaverse that will essentially incentivize people to spend time both in the real and the digital world. So if you look at the core of games, you have like at the base, the players are playing the game, to get this kind of on a psychological level, this gratification, right? And more people are spending time behind their screens and playing games because games are rewarding them on a psychological level. Um, Also, the because of that, people tend to not spend so much time outside or engage in fitness activities, and that's what we're trying to essentially solve is giving people an incentive to get the best of both worlds and also get rewarded in that sense. So in the fitness metaverse, we have a lot of partners that Andy can talk more about that are super excited about this concept, and me as well, because of the fact that players will be rewarded in game for spending time playing the game, and also in the real life by, let's say, running, using the Dustline Runner app, and also getting those tokens back, being able to spend them in games. So I think it's a beautiful concept.
Yes, it's very exciting. We're hoping to finish the build by the end of May and be ready for September, as I said, launching in Alpha 4. Yeah, so the fitness partners will bring fitness community into our land, and it's basically a social hub for people who don't understand Sandbox. It's a play to earn game, yes, but it's a chance to socialize with other users from the crypto world, from the gaming world, from the music world, and also fitness. So it brings everyone together to interact with these fitness brands in different ways, complete missions and quests, and be rewarded with Dose token, as well as Sand, actually. And the great thing is, actually, we'll get users from lots of different backgrounds because there's going to be several other lands available in the alpha time. It's not just our fitness land, and users will come from lots of different lands into fitness land to complete quests and get rewards. So just from a numbers point of view, 4.7 million visits into Sandbox Alpha 2 and 350,000 monthly active users. It's Alpha 2. It's such early days, but those numbers are crazy. With only a few pieces of land actually open in Alpha. So Alpha 3, Alpha 4, we should see many more users, which is very exciting for us and our partners. This kind of brings me on to you, Daniel. So do you want to tell us about your place in the metaverse in Sandbox?
The Tracks Arena will be part of the Fitness Metaverse, which George and his team have created, designed. Can't give them enough credit for how incredible the designs look. We are super excited for many reasons. There's so much that's going to be going on. Firstly, from a music perspective, we're going to launch a music festival when the Fitness Metaverse opens. So as we've seen and as we know some of the music experiences that are taking place in the metaverse at the moment, we'll be having a completely unique, first of its kind experience. If you think, the way I try to always describe it is Super Bowl halftime show. We've got the Fitness Metaverse, and we're going to bring a wow factor in for the opening of the Fitness Metaverse. And then the experts are in the room here, but how do we work with the other partners that are in the space to help bring music into life within the Fitness Metaverse, either within games that are being developed or through the other partners who are activating as well. On the other side of the wall over there, Mars is working away on something very exciting that we're working on for one of the games.
Right, like if you look at the amount of income that was generated, I can't remember specific numbers, but it was like $500 million or something like that in the space of like an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, to some extent, like blockchain is still early, right? Like Ethereum is still not scaling well. So these are known issues. I know that they're currently talking about like, do they go to a different chain? Do they, like, for a long-term solution, like how do they approach that? And they have a DAO, so they can make that decision collectively. For us, like we're always thinking about these things. So Dustland is not on Ethereum for starters, so we're on a chain that has much lower gas fees. So we'll be on Polygon. We'll probably be on other chains as well at the same time. So we'll be multi-chain. yeah, it's something we're always thinking about, always considering. Is like, how do we solve some of these problems and kind of frustrating user experiences? Because, for example, I know like in the other side sale, people spent like 2 Ethereum to send a transaction through, and some of them failed, and some of them sent less, and they lost all their gas fees. So that's frustrating. We're still early. It's very hard. It's very easy to forget how early we are in Web3.
Yeah.
And I think, even in a year, things are going to be a lot smoother. 2 years, things are going to be like exponentially better. So it's just teething issues right now, and we're on the app side, we're trying to solve some of those things, and kind of.
I guess it's good. Yeah, it's good for us to take learnings from some of these projects that are launching before us. And as you mentioned, multi-chain could be an advantage in lower gas fees. But do you think anything that happened last week has a knock-on effect from a trust and credibility point of view? But I guess the project is such a well-known global project, it probably won't affect it, but potentially it could have done if it was a smaller project.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I think that they were probably crunching the numbers as they were planning the sale, and they were anticipating a certain demand and thinking that things were okay, and then that changed last minute, and it's kind of impossible to predict. So you make a plan, and sometimes you're able to pivot and change it, but sometimes you're not. And so I don't know. I don't have any insights into their process, but all I can say is, like, on the Dustland side, we're very conscious of these things, and for example, I said you'll be able to earn resources and things like that. Some of them will have high value, some of them might have lower value. We don't want those low value things to cost you a lot in terms of transacting them, right? So we're thinking about ways to make that more fluid, and that will probably involve some of those items being virtualized. So we're thinking about like this trade-off of like decentralization versus user experience, right? And I think we always have to make a call there, and there's always like a goal to be decentralized, but at the same time, like, we have to think about user experience, and it's really important for users to have a really seamless experience, especially in a game like Dustland, which is essentially free to play, right? You can get started in our game and not have to buy a $700, $800, $900 NFT to be able to participate at all and any rewards.
It's a really good point. So a lot of people on the call will be from the fitness industry and understand some of the barriers to fitness. And over the last 20 years of me being in the industry, we've always spoken about barriers to entry, and just attending a gym for some people, going out and going to a gym on your own and going for the first time is a big barrier. So it's exactly the same in this world. If you've got a $700, $800, $900 shoe that you have to purchase, there's a huge entry barrier there. And I think user experience is it should be the focus for us. And having you on board, Mark's going to help us at OliveX and with Dustland, etc. But I think the time is now to start focusing on UX. And even when I went to a conference in Lisbon before Christmas, one of the themes was, look, we know how bad the user journey is. We need to work on it. Just little things like setting up a wallet and connecting your wallet. And
if you look at our goal is to basically encourage 1 billion people to move more, right? Like, there aren't even 1 billion people using the blockchain at the moment, right? So like, this is a hugely exciting goal in the sense that we can make it happen. It's going to take time, but we have a lot of work to do in terms of like making sure that this is a smooth transition for people, and free to play is definitely the way forward in doing that. Mobile is a great focus for us because of that as well, because users have access to these devices, so we're always thinking about these things for sure.
And actually, on the same theme of entry barriers, this is one for you, George. When we talk about the metaverse, a lot of people automatically think of VR headsets and that type of access to the metaverse. But do you want to just touch on some of the different types of metaverses out there? And obviously, Sandbox is one where the entry barrier is zilch, because all you need is a web browser. But have you worked on any other metaverses outside of Sandbox, and any examples of other ways to access?
Yeah, so I think that the terms metaverse emerged just recently as a standard term defining these blockchain words, but I think that the metaverse exists for a very long time. And this started out with games. Games were, and internet essentially it's a metaverse in itself. What we are defining today as metaverse are those virtual worlds that are built inside this metaverse. So you have, we have Web 1, Web 2, with the dot-com bubble, and now we have Web 3, and we usually associate Web 3 with the metaverse. But metaverse can, the metaverse comes in many forms, and if you look at a website, the website is actually part of the metaverse. Now for the virtual worlds, there are various ways to experience the metaverse, the virtual world. We are right now in the metaverse discussing online in this Twitch stream. Even though it's not a 3D model, we are still behind the screen and communicating with each other from very far apart. Another way would be experiencing a 3D world like the sandbox, which does not yet require a VR headset to play. So a lot of people have this misconception that the metaverse is going to be VR. It's not necessarily. It's metaverse. It's all about how you want to experience these virtual worlds. I played a lot of games in my life that felt like the metaverse. I played Minecraft, I played The Sims, Second Life, and none of those required a VR headset. But I was playing in an alternate reality. Sure, there are some virtual worlds that also take advantage of VR technology, and VR technology has its own special place. And moreover, there is also augmented reality technology, right? Which I think will be the first step before we immerse ourselves into fully virtual worlds, right? So we have right now the digital worlds that we see on our screens. We'll also have augmented reality, so we're gonna have like probably these goggles that will have an UI that we can interact with in real life, and then the final step, the fully digital world in the VR will be the latest step to this evolution. Um, but there are multiple ways to experience this, and it's all about the preference of the public. And there are also a lot of art style. It comes in many shapes and forms. You have the sandbox, which is a voxelized world. You have Decentraland, which is a world built in the traditional sense with poly modeling. Um, so it comes in all shapes and forms. It comes in all sorts of ways to interact with it. So this is how I define the metaverse.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good for the listeners today to understand the different types, and it's a really good point around it's metaverse been around a long time, but I guess Meta, Facebook turning into Meta, created this excitement around the name, and it's bounded around. But
I think it's like Ready Player One was this
Yeah.
thing that kind of it cemented this vision of the VR metaverse. But like for me, it's like exactly what George was saying. Like the web has always been about like hyperlinks, right? Like links that go between places, and I see the metaverse as just experiences that are separate, but links between them. And the link, a lot of the time, the thing I'm excited about is player ownership, right? Like, so I can take one thing out of this experience, and maybe it can go inside another experience, maybe it can't. But I have ownership, I have control over what I do with that, and what kind of experiences I participate in. And I think there's this network effect as well of having these experiences connected to each other. I think it's massively open. I think it's a positive environment in general.
And just for the listeners as well, do you want to break down the IP side of things, the ownership side, just into layman's terms, because I think that'd be quite important, and that kind of leads quite nicely into your world, Daniel, in a minute, and ownership and IP.
So there's a couple of things, right? We talk about fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens. So fungible tokens, things like tokens like Ethereum or Dose token and stuff like that. These are basically currencies that are like virtual. They conceptually like virtual currencies that are rewarded through gameplay or through other engagement, but they have a kind of real world value, and you can basically cash out of that at any time. So you could convert those tokens into anything you want. So basically, as you're playing the game, you're earning these tokens, and then at any moment you decide, you just switch them into something else. You can use them in another experience. Anyone can accept them as payment too. So you don't need to go through credit card providers or anything. Someone could just decide in the morning, hey, I want to accept ApeCoin, and make it happen. So on the other side is the NFTs, which are the non-fungible tokens. So these represent assets that you own, and a lot of people think about these in terms of JPEGs, right? Like, oh, I own a JPEG. It's like, well, depends. It depends on the IP rights that you've been assigned by the people who produce the NFT. Sometimes you own the commercial rights to the JPEG, and that's really cool. Like in the case of Bored Apes, sometimes you don't get that commercial right, but what that NFT represents is a thing that you've earned, or a thing that you've invested in your experience. So if you're playing Dustline Runner and you're investing your tokens on upgrading your character, and you've unlocked a shoe NFT, and this NFT is super rare. It's got some scarcity traits to it. That's really cool. So I can take that outside of the experience. I can then basically I've exchanged my time in the game for this asset, and this asset has value because I put my time into it. So then I can exchange it with someone else, and they can give me their fair value for this time that I've invested. And this is really powerful because it means you can take, in a free-to-play game, for example, so you're playing Fortnite and you're spending all these V-Bucks on skins, and skins are super cool, but like you're putting all your money into Epic's pocket, right? And Epic are giving you nothing back for it. But in this new model, what we're saying is like players are essential in our economy. They bring a lot to our experience, so we want to share with them, right? So we give them their skins in the form of an NFT. They can take that outside of the experience and trade it with someone who sees the value in it. And so their money isn't lost. It may devalue or it may increase in value. That's up to the market. But the core idea here is really that you can transfer your ownership to other people, and your time invested and your dollars invested is not lost. It's transferable.
That's a really good point. Yeah. So IP ownership and music, Daniel. What are your thoughts on that, and how does that relate to your project?
My thoughts, and I guess there's so much out there, so I won't spend too long talking about how the music industry is moving at the moment. But what Mark said is really, he's hit the nail on the head, and I'll talk about it from a music perspective. I think, tiny bit of background in music, it's very, very, very hard for emerging artists to break. To make money in music is very difficult. And what we're really excited about here is that right now it feels like the connection between the fan and the artist is as close as it's ever been in the digital age. And that's ultimately what's really exciting. That it's when I say it's as close as it has been, there are some touch points. Some artists will interact with their fans and manage that entire interaction themselves, and the fans will be able to invest into that artist, whether it's a small, emerging, established artist. This model applies across the spectrum. Somebody like Snoop Dogg, who is so established and so successful that he's been able to buy back his record label. He's been able to drive that connection to the fans through his own powers because he's very powerful. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got some artists who may be working on their first ever single, and they want to retain 100% of that connection with their fans, and they'll manage that themselves. There is still room for people that sit in the middle, organizations, labels, management companies, just depending on the way that the artist can manage that relationship with the fans. But that's what's really, really, really exciting for us. It's what's exciting for artists as well. And from an IP perspective, as Mark's spoken about in terms of investment, that's really cool. So there are some examples out there of people who have released a single as an NFT with X number of copies that have then been purchased, and that fan then owns one of the records, one of the copies, and that can then accrue in value, just like any desirable collectible item does, or they can continue to invest in that artist's career, knowing that they have that's great strong relationship. What from another thing from our side, which I know is what you're teeing me up for, Andy, is also in the world of music right now, has been the case again in terms of virtual artists. We've had the Gorillas who came around a long time ago, and there's been progressions of various artists like that. We look at Deadmau5, who's a big player in the metaverse, as we refer to it, and other artists as well who have a virtual artistic presence between themselves and their face. There's a huge boom for those who aren't aware. Huge rise of virtual artists. Teflon Sega, if you haven't heard, that's the one to go and check out. Teflon Sega has been active in the metaverse as well. He is a virtual artist, and he lives in a virtual world, and he is an incredible musician, and he's huge. We are working here at Trax with various different creators, musicians on some cool new IP as well, in that space, which may or may not make an appearance in the Fitness Metaverse if they can fit on the bill. The bill's a big bill, but there's some big names on there already, and this is back to what I said earlier. If some of the virtual artists are created by people who studied coding and animation and gaming, that's what they've spent their time doing, and now they've created a virtual artist, and they're good at that way as well, and they would never need to stand on a stage. There's plenty of introverts and extroverts in the world of music, and this is now a really cool opportunity for emerging artists to launch themselves in that way. And we have a couple of projects that we're working on. Fingers crossed they're received well. Ultimately, that's up to the audience, the fans. But we're certainly working hard, and we've got some cool projects.
Yes.
In the studio.
Very exciting. We've got a few questions coming through actually, so let's move on to here. First of all, I just downloaded Dustline Runner for iOS, so well done, good, one of the first. I have a few Ketamine NFTs. Do I need to start running, and can I earn? Mark.
Good question. So we have a temporary way of earning right now before we release the full system. So the full system will be, you play a mission, you earn those tokens as you run. Right now you earn completion tickets. So every time you do a mission, any of our missions, we have 3 missions released so far. So mission 4 is coming soon. You earn completion tickets for each mission you complete, and these completion tickets in the near future will be able to be exchanged for dose tokens. So we have a pool of dose tokens available, and basically all of the completion tickets will go into this pool basically. So you'll get this proportional ownership, right? So if there's 10 completion tickets that have been earned by the community, and you have 1 completion ticket, you will earn 10% of this entire pool. So what we're doing at the moment is we're figuring out how big is this pool. Our community has been asking us very, a lot. How much is this pool? We're running the numbers right now. We want to make sure that the pool is rewarding for people and provides a good incentive. Also, we have to keep in mind our token supply at the moment, and we don't want to flood the market with tokens and things like that. But yes, soon, as soon as we have those numbers available, we will share them with the community. Regarding the Ketamine NFT, as for those who don't know, we have an NFT on Polygon. You can find it on OpenSea. It's under the Dustland collection. It's called Ketamine. This was our first NFT. It was a promotional NFT that we airdropped to players. So the idea is anyone who has one of these NFTs will be able to exchange their completion tickets for those tokens. So currently earn completion tickets, but unless you have one of these NFTs, you won't be able to exchange them for those tokens. So I guess you'll burn this NFT, and it will give you the right amount of those tokens. There are things coming in the future that you will need multiple of these Ketamine NFTs for. So if you have a few of them already, you're doing well. Congratulations.
So that just answers the second question. What are the benefits of having more than one ketamine NFT? So there you have it.
Just to, just to hint, we're obviously we have the ape pass that's coming soon. There may be a method of using those ketamine NFTs.
So you heard it here, guys. Keep hold of those NFTs. Next question, and any more information about Ape Pass for Dustland? Anything you can tell us about? I know you've touched on it already, but anything else that we should know, the users should know?
Yes, so I think we'll have some news very, very soon. If you've signed up on the website to be notified about the Ape Pass, we'll be announcing details very soon about our allow listing campaign. So this will be the process that you can go on and get allow listed for that NFT sale. So that's something you probably won't want to miss.
No, definitely not. On the topic of skins, what's the current opportunity for fitness apparel brands? And where do we see it going? Will there be Fitness Metaverse? Will the Fitness Metaverse encompass multiple player interaction where brand loyalty will play a role? So for fitness apparel brands, we have one already, Gym Aesthetics, that we're working with. Some of the traits on the avatars that will be playable in the sandbox game are Gym Aesthetics wearables. In the first instance, utility is sandbox and being able to utilize your avatar across lots of lands in Alpha 3 in June. Also, you'll obviously be able to use it to earn Dose token in the fitness land in September in Alpha 4. So that's the first utility. There will also be some benefits and utility within GA, Gym Aesthetics and their ecosystem as well. So clothing discounts, real life events, meet the ambassadors, that type of thing. But we're always looking for more partners, and whether it's apparel, operator, nutrition, well-being, the more the merrier. We want to add value to our users in lots of different ways, and we know not all users like the same brand, so the more we can bring into this world, the better. And I also see this metaverse space as an opportunity to collab in different ways. That a lot of brands and operators, suppliers in the fitness industry have had barriers and challenges to collabing in the real world. When it comes to Web3, I think we've now got an opportunity to have some slightly different collaborations, and maybe it's apparel brands working together, operators working together. So it brings new opportunities for all of these fitness brands, and that's what excites me.
Just to touch on something you said there, Andy, I think a lot of people consider these kind of partnerships to be like kind of product placement, right? Like in the Web 2 sense, but like
yes.
I think it's a lot more to it than that. Like if we think of Web3 as being built on communities, right? Communities have brands they feel very passionately about and they want to identify with. These partnerships are hugely important for players feeling that identity and kind of bringing that into the game and representing what they believe. Like fashion's a big thing, for example. Just fashion in general, but also fitness fashion. So yeah, we don't see it as a kind of product placement. We see it as actually bringing value to players because they get to represent themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it's freedom of choice for the consumer too, and that's really important. We understand consumers want choice. We don't want to have that centralized approach where this is the brand you will have access to and that's it. We want to bring lots of different brands in, and then you can dress your avatars in whatever you want, like in the real world. So that was a great question. What's the role of brands and branded avatars in the fitness metaverse? Kind of the same thing I've just answered. So I hope that's George, Dan, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think this branding of, let's say, wearables in the metaverse is really important because just like in real life, it provides you, with you're supporting that brand, and it also provides you a certain status in that brand. So a lot of people choose to go with their brands because they are proud to wear that brand, and adding a layer of the layer of interoperability to that, and being able to purchase an NFT that represents, let's say, the T-shirt of your favorite brand, and being able to use it in the different virtual worlds that you are part of and that you are experiencing. I think that itself it's a massive bonus. And I know that virtual worlds are kind of discussing this right now, and trying to implement that functionality. You buy one NFT, you buy a T-shirt, and then you can play around it in multiple virtual worlds. And I think that will bring a huge value to the players. If you play games like Fortnite and you get like a skin from supposedly Nike, then you can have that skin also in the sandbox, right? So um, that will be a huge value for the player. And like Mark said, owning these NFTs and being able to trade with other players make those even more compelling and make turns this into essentially collectibles. So
Yeah, it goes back to the point around the time
yeah,
invested, doesn't it? Like if it's taking you
exactly.
12 months to build up these really cool traits with on this character, and then suddenly you feel like you want to exchange that for something new, it's that time that you've invested that gives value to that particular NFT. And that's the difference between an NFT and a token, where a token you have one dose token equals one dose token, you can trade it. Whereas this NFT, the perception to the buyer could be huge, and the value of that particular NFT could be massive in that case. But it could look exactly the same as another NFT that goes for a completely different price. But it could be the time invested or the metaverse it's been used in that adds the value to it. So that's what I love about NFTs. I think that's it on the questions. What I'd like to do, I think we should wrap it up. Apologies if there's any technical issues today, by the way. I hear on the grapevine that there could have been some sound issues, so I do apologize to anyone. But to finish off, what I'd like to do is ask you guys for one takeaway for the listeners. Mark, let's start with you. What do you advise?
What do I advise?
Just one takeaway today.
If you're not already, get into the metaverse. Like, like if you need to spend time in these kind of Web3 products and systems and really kind of understand this new model, because it is going to change the world. It is already changing the world, in terms of finance, in terms of ownership, in terms of IP, like so many innovations, and we're really just getting started. So if you are able to get in now and understand it and really like start building with us, either literally or like, as a partner or as a connected experience, I think the future is going to be very exciting and very bright. So yeah, that would be my advice.
I haven't finished with you yet, Mark. Another question has just come in. So within the game, could players form their own runners club and have merch that relates to their own community? And actually, this is a really good question.
This is a really good question. It's something we've been considering a lot. The answer is yes, is the short answer. The long answer is when, we don't know. It's definitely something we want to do. We see a huge value in it, but we need to build our foundations out first, and that involves a core earning loop, a core crafting loop, and then community is our next focus, and really having ways to identify as being part of a running club, having ways to earn as a running club, and kind of contribute to the club's development or investment or progress. I think these are all really important factors, and it's the same for cycling too, right? Like cycling communities are really huge. So we're thinking about this for all of our games.
Yeah, great question. George, take away from you, please.
So yeah, I see my takeaway on this is that the gaming community is, I would say, a pretentious community. And I would advise everyone to not be skeptical about this, because NFTs is a new technology and it has been marketed in the past year, and like any other new product, there have been a lot of opportunists, right, that try to take advantage of this technology. But in fact, I strongly believe that NFTs are the future, and I would strongly advise especially gamers to give this a chance, look into this, because now the time has come not only for professional esports team, but also for casual players to earn, let's say, a living or enjoy playing their favorite games. And I think this is a really really important step forward in the future of gaming.
Cool.
Totally agree with that.
Daniel. anything from you?
My only advice I could offer would be for you to download the game, Dustline Runner, go and do some running, put on your headphones, do some running, and in hopefully the not too distant future, some very cool music will appear on there. And then you keep running. When the Tracks Arena opens, use your Dose tokens and come into our recording studio, show us what you're made of, and then you can come and perform on the main stage.
Love it. I think for me, education is really key, and I know a lot of users are new to Web3 and the metaverse idea. So education is really important. We have a Discord channel, OliveX Fitness Metaverse. Please come and follow. You can learn lots of some bite-sized information in there. Lots of different channels to follow, whether it's Sandbox, Dose, Dustland. You can get all the latest news and events, so definitely get in there. We also have a great Medium channel with lots of, again, bite-sized education. Join as many webinars as you can. Actually, before we go, Mark, is there anyone that you think people should follow who's a great source of information, resources? Anyone in particular that you follow?
I would say follow our CEO, Keith.
Yes.
From John, it's a great source. He's always posting interesting insights and things. Yatsu as well is a good source of kind of metaverse. He's kind of like the glue that holds all the metaverse together. So this is
anyone from Animoca Brands is always good. Robbie too. What about you, George? Anyone that you follow?
Yeah, I personally follow Sebastian from Sandbox, and I love his interviews, and I think there are a lot of things to learn from him. He's one of the strongest players and the pioneers in the space. So there's always something to learn from him, and also Yatsu. So those are like two of the people that I follow. Also, there's Whale Shark, and Whale Shark is actually one of good friends of Leandro, who's the founder of NFT Studios, and VoxelArchitects, the co-founder of VoxelArchitects, and he's been along in the space for a very long time, and he's actually one of the earliest investors into the NFTs, and has created a huge community of people that I think it's just great, the fact that he was a visionary way before this whole NFT craze started. So I strongly suggest you follow him.
Awesome. Daniel, music wise, we've just seen Spotify into the metaverse. Anyone to follow and keep an eye on?
I already mentioned check out Sega if you haven't already, and whether I mentioned him or not, he's very synonymous with the space. But Snoop Dogg is always a good person to. I spoke about his record label. Always keep an eye on him.
And keep an eye on Tracks as well. Very, very young, aspiring company that may be making some big steps into the metaverse very soon.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Great.
Exciting activity out there.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Mark, George, Daniel. Thank you for attending and giving us time today. I know you're all very busy. Thank you for attending, listeners, and we'll catch you soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.